Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, Wesley Keller. And listen, we don't have to see it, but there's pretty much tons of YouTube videos that have some sad and depressing moments that we all personally do remember. And pretty much when a character becomes so real that someone can start to relate and feel with them, it actually starts to become very powerful and all. And most of the time, these moments, they pretty much do reflect on very tough subjects that we all personally do go through a lot. So that's why I'm going to be counting down to 5 of them here today. Why top 5, you may be asking?
Because by God, 5 more might make me become teary-eyed.
So, sit back, relax, and prepare your tissues, because this is the top 5 saddest moments in YouTube videos.
Number 5.
Death Battle. SpongeBob vs. Super Friends Aquaman.
I'm a hero!
I saved this city!
Now I know what y'all are probably thinking. How could a death battle video like this be this sad? Well, I'm glad you asked. See, there's pretty much 2 or 3 reasons as to why I had to include this on the list. For one, when SpongeBob absorbed all the ocean in the sea, Super Friends Aquaman starts to lose all of his powers. He then sees tons of him from other universes and says how he's pretty much the weakest link out of all of them.
And out of all of them, I'm the lamest fucking one! I'm a ripoff. A joke. I'm no superhero.
And pretty much when he said that, SpongeBob decided to give out pretty much a very emotional speech, and kind of like how SpongeBob was saying that Super Friends Aquaman should keep going and not give up.
People used to say the same kind of things about me. Goofball, wingnut, knucklehead, McSpazatron. But every day, I get back up and say 2 words. I'm winning.
Another moment that I pretty much found very depressing was the ending to, the battle. You may think that, much like other death battles, the character would become very happy that he or she won, or feel achieved, or something like that. But no, SpongeBob in this just feels sad. And what remained left of Aquaman was just his charred body. As his last words were pretty much the following.
Don't cry, Sponge. Let's be super friends.
And as Aquaman fades away, SpongeBob writes a tombstone for Super Friends Aquaman. And thus ends this battle. To be honest, I actually found the writing tombstone thing pretty much all wholesome. It's actually never been done in any other death battle where a character mourns over another who he or she defeats. This is actually a first.
This one's at the start of the list though, as much like other death battles, it's still got that fight to the death thing going on. The action-packed fighting techniques that these 2 were doing were pretty much really awesome and all.
And it's pretty funny to see a whiz break character when talking about SpongeBob, man. I'm telling you that.
Screw the pencil or the bubbles. He can just will whatever he wants into existence from his imagination. He's a god. A yellow, spongy god of death.
What else can you say, but this is pretty much one heartbreaking death.
At least Arthur finally got to be a real hero. And at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah, sure, whatever, pal. He's dead. Too bad for the King of the Seas. That sure was one sweet victory.
The winner is SpongeBob SquarePants, our god.
Hell of a boss. Luna's backstory.
No, you can't have her. She is mine, and I love her.
Now, I gotta be honest with y'all. When Season 2 of Hell of a Boss was announced, I was actually hoping that we would get to see Luna's backstory of how Blitz adopted her. And we got it. We actually got it. But boy, is this really heartbreaking. This is basically in the second episode of Season 2 called Seeing Stars, where P and Stolas tries to find Octavia, which she's in Los Angeles in California.
While they're at Los Angeles, both Blitz and Stolas gets caught in a live-action sitcom act, where Blitz gets mistaken for, well, being named Brandon, which Blitz is voice acted by Brandon Rogers. Both Moxie and Millie sings in a duet of a love song, and Luna, well, starts to hang out at LA. When Blitz was continuing the act with Pug, this is where the backstory begins. You see, Luna's backstory takes place in a shelter, where Blitzo tries to find, well, the best hellhound so that he can adopt. Blitz finds hellhound after hellhound after hellhound until he found Luna, who was sharing a cell with another hellhound. Which, trust me, they never ever get along. Realizing as to what she had done, Luna backs up and starts to tear up. Which, wow. I mean, just, wow. I'm in a loss of words when I saw the scene. To be honest with y'all, I really am glad that Blitzo took Luna in, cause I couldn't even imagine as to what would happen to her. When the owner of the pound had said,
"Oh, her. That's just Luna. What a nightmare. Serious attitude problems. She'll be out of our hair next month when she ages out. Good riddance. If you ask me, she'll never amount to anything much."
It pretty much got me a bit worried as to what would happen to Luna. I could pretty much see as to why she wasn't even living a good life in that pound. It was like living in a nightmare. But despite Luna's backstory, the second episode of Season 2 of Hell of a Boss was actually fantastic, man. I mean, we got to see a human Stolas for the first time, and we actually got to see both Luna and Octavia meet for the first time, which is pretty beautiful. And if I'm not mistaken, this is pretty much by far my favorite episode of Hell of a Boss. But one thing's for sure, Luna's backstory was sure one hell of a sad moment. Just a heads up for this third choice, we're going to be discussing some very triggering topics for some people. And if any of this does trigger you, feel free to call any of these hotline numbers. You take care of yourself out there, okay? Sodor Fallout. Toby's suicide.
Topham, Sydney, Leonard and I watched in horror as the tram engine rolled back and dashed down the line as fast as he could, slamming his wooden body into the arm of the breakdown crane.
For pretty much the two people who haven't heard of Sodor Fallout.
Sodor Fallout is basically an alternate universe of the Thomas and Friends series. It was created back in 2019 by Tim the Thunderbolt, and the series itself was made with the clips and music put together by Percy and the Beast Productions. Basically, the plot of Sodor Fallout was that the nuclear power plant in Brandon Bay has exploded, and the engines are like trying to survive from, well, the events that had occurred from it.
But it's not gonna be easy, as most of the engines are mutated. But on top of all that,
Sodor Fallout itself has its own plethora of sad and depressing moments that personally we all do see. But I think the most saddest one out of all of them has gotta be about our favorite tram engine, Toby.
you see,
There was a second face formed on the back of his smoke box, which is named Fireface. Fireface's face looks like a type of troublesome truck, but albeit with severe burns on one side. As Fireface was saying that it was all his fault that the people were suffered because of him. But why was that, you may be asking? Well, when the explosion had occurred, James was telling Toby to pull the coaches out of the station as fast as possible. But Toby didn't listen, as he was afraid that Henrietta would be killed by the blast, as James had furiously left, leaving half his coaches behind. When the shockwave had hit the station, tons of glass was falling down, as tons of the people were heavily injured. As Sir Topham Hatt, or the Fat Controller, was involved in this type of situation, but luckily, he wasn't harmed by any of the glass.
the next morning, both Toby and Fireface were having another argument. But this time, however,
It was when Toby was reaching his absolute limit, as Fireface was telling him to end his own life, and it was making Toby more unstable as usual.
when Thomas asked Toby what was wrong, the only thing Toby said to Thomas was to take care of Henrietta for him. But then, that was when it happened. He backed up and went straight to the breakdown crane, which had struck straight to the face, killing both him and Fireface.
Now, I gotta admit, when I first saw Toby committing suicide like this, I never thought like a train or tram engine like Toby would just actually do something like that in Sodor Fallout. Honestly, I don't blame Toby for trying to save Henrietta. I'm sure that Toby pretty much does care about Henrietta a lot, man. But after Sir Topham Hatt stopped crying, this was his final words to Toby.
Toby, you will be remembered as the great engine you were, and you will live on in our hearts forever. This can never be allowed to happen again. We will find out who has done this to our beloved engines, and we will bring them to justice. I promise you, Toby, your death will not be for nothing.
Now, let me speak to you guys for a minute. Before I end this entry off the list. If you ever have any suicidal thoughts, or something like that, the best way to stop these suicidal thoughts is to reach out for help from a doctor or a mental health professional. If that feels overwhelming, start by reaching out to a trusted friend, family member, or another person you feel safe talking to. And if you wanted some more help, please consider contacting the suicide hotline before I started the number 3 entry on this list. And with that out of the way, let's get on with the number 2 entry, shall we?
It was a final send-off to a favorite tram before we had to go.
Total Stuff Bluffed Island Season 3, The Reunion of the Squid Sisters.
I'm scared, Marie. Shh, shh, shh.
Honestly, this is personally Charmeleon Warriors of voice acting at her best. And
boy, does she really do those voices of both the Squid Sisters really well. But boy, is this scene really, really sad by Luigi Fang 101 standards.
Basically, this is in the 32nd episode of Season 3 titled Crush the Kalar Corps, where the remaining contestants have to face off against the Kalar Corps,
including Callie, the supposed leader of the Kalar Corps. But towards the end of the battle, Callie unleashes her ultimate attack.
This ought to end you and the rest of the game!
When Marie realizes what she needed to do, she launches herself towards her cousin and shocks her. The jump was successful, as now restored Callie back to normal, causing her to wonder what was going on. Adding to Marie that she is scared, a tearful Callie apologizes to her cousin over what just happened. And the moment as to where both the Squid Sisters hug each other, it felt quiet, emotional, heartwarming, and yet tear-jerking all at the same time. Okay, you guys are actually not gonna believe as to who ruined the hugging moment. Seriously, take a look at who actually ruined it.
And Mennonite wins. Come back when you actually put up a real fight against the evil of the game.
Boo! You stink!
Look what you did, you little jerk!
You blew it!
Yeah, ain't that a load of bullcrap right there? I mean, just a single step took for a victory. A single step on Callie. Led Mennonite to a victory. This pretty much is like a big, huge roll of bullcrappery or something like that. Anyways, sorry about that. Conquest then appears and tells Callie that she's under arrest, but Graveclopper convinces him to cut her a break and take her to the infirmary instead. Conquest accepts this and takes Callie to the infirmary. Then soon after all this had became, well, out of the way, the host announced that Mennonite has immunity, while the others are up for elimination. But then, this happens.
And Mennonite has gotten invincibility.
The rest of you are all going to elimination.
No, they're not!
What? Who denies me?
I vote myself off.
What?
I want to make sure Kelly's safe. Because of that, I eliminate myself so I can go with her.
Well, no one else has done that, so fine. Go ahead.
I love Callie. I want to make sure she's doing okay.
That is pretty much something no contestant has ever done for this season. Wow. This has gotta be a new achievement of pretty much something that is very, very heartwarming and all, and I approve it. I absolutely do.
I don't care one way or the other.
Ah, shut up, Ludwig. You barely even care about anything at this point.
One day I will eradicate this game. You'll see. You'll all see.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. You know you're grounded because of what you have been doing. Anyways, this moment alone felt really heartwarming. Seriously, it was like both heartwarming yet very sad all at the same time. And it was really done well by Luigi Fang 101 standards. And thus, that is why this moment deserves to be on the number 2 spot on this list. But before we get on to number 1, here's a few honorable mentions. Sodor Fallout, the death of Trevor. This one is basically another sad moment that pretty much did happen in Sodor Fallout. Basically, Edwards' driver and fireman got a call from Gem Co.
that his wife and his kid had hid it inside a bunker when the explosion occurred. But poor Trevor had gotten mutated, and Jem had to like put Trevor out of his own misery by shooting Trevor with his rifle. But my two main reasons as to why I chose Toby's suicide over Trevor's death is, for one, Toby did last longer than Trevor, and two, I just had this feeling that suicide is pretty much like a really dark topic that pretty much like a few people or lots of people like go through at this time.
Battle for BFDI. Loser's elimination speech. Loser pretty much got like the most votes ever in this episode. And when we got to the part where Loser says his last words, it immediately cuts to Ruby just, well, jumping on a piece of Jawbreaker. We never exactly got to hear about Loser's speech after the elimination until we got to the ending of the episode. And this is what he said.
You know what? I do. Guys, thank you for doing your best to make me feel welcome. I know it didn't last long, but I'm gonna miss what we did together. We had fun, and that's all that matters. Good thing 4's gone. At least I can spend my last few days with you. I'm proud of you, and I hope we can meet again.
Issue 37's SFM FNAF. Bonnie's is death. Apparently, not everyone was alright when they escaped from Nightmare for now. Bonnie was not so lucky because he was struck by Nightmare's sword while escaping. And we can also see Toy Chica desperately telling Golden Freddy and the puppet to help him. But apparently, Nightmare took away both their powers, and there's apparently nothing that they could do, as Nightmare's sword is imbued with dark energy that absorbs him. It is a very dark moment, and personally something that no one has ever even expected, including me. But anyway, let's get on to number 1. War of the Fat Italians 2021. Axel's death.
There has to be another way! There has to be!
I mean, I've never seen a death so heartbreaking, so emotional, and really depressing and all. This moment not only shows us as to how tough death is, it also shows us as to how much we all are hurt when we lose a loved one or so. Towards the end of the video of the Genesis arc, Melanie goes inside of SMG-Zero's landscape. When inside the mindscape, we can all see as to what happened to Axel, as he's all chained up and all alone. Melanie sees this, runs up to him, uses her sword, and tries so desperately to get him out, but only to fail. When Axel tells Melanie that there's only one way to beat Zero, this indicates that the only way to stop him was for her to kill him. Now, when I first saw this scene, I knew that Axel was gonna die, but I didn't actually know that this scene would be this sad at all. Good lord, man. Axel then comforts Melanie by saying that she is the strongest girl he knows. Before she complies, however, Melanie shows him his fan art manga, where she had added the parts where she accepts Axel's confession.
I've been meaning to say, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend?
I like you too.
This finally accepts their friendship, before they share their only kiss. And before Melanie could kill Axel, this was Axel's final words.
Thank you for the adventure.
And after that slash, this defeats SMG-Zero. Well, that is until he actually comes back in the next arc. And when Melanie got on her knees and broke down in tears, SMG4 and the crew had realized that Axel had died.
Now, this moment alone just made me want to hug Melanie right now. I knew that this loss was gonna hit her really hard, man. Cause, well, Axel was one of my favorite characters on the channel, and it's really sad to see him go. He was just an awesome anime manga artist, and I really do respect the creativity that comes along with him and all. But even with Axel dead, SMG4 and the crew will never ever forget him, and neither will we, the fans, because he actually changed SMG4 and the gang's lives forever. And it pretty much does sum up how like tons of memories that we've shared, that we will always and truly remember Axel for the rest of our lives. This pretty much goes to show that SMG4 not only does some very silly moments like this, but he also does these serious moments like this. And we all do know that Luke, Kevin, and the team never messes around with this type of a situation. To be honest, I actually thought Desi's death was the saddest moment that SMG4 has ever made. But now that I've seen Axel's death, I think that this personally takes the cake as the saddest moment that SMG4 has ever made. And to me, honestly, there's no contest, no comparison to this, and no topping this one. I can easily consider War of the Fat Italians 2021's Axel's death the #1 saddest moment in YouTube videos. But I think that it's worth mentioning though that I don't hate any of these moments, because looking back, tons of people out there can relate to tons of these characters that are like in videos of some sorts. Whether it be tough and dark subjects like suicide, death, separation, and adoption, we all just kind of have this fear emotion and sadness emotion going on, and that it's okay to be scared, it's okay to cry, and it's okay to feel something and not hold it all in. The best way to do it when going through some things like suicide, death, and something like that is to just let it all out. And honestly, that's a really good message that I personally have to give and all. But hey, are there any sad moments that I missed? Do you think that there are some that are sadder? Well, leave them in the comments and share your sad moment with them. I'd like to thank all of you for going with me on this journey on looking for the top 5 saddest moments in YouTube videos that I personally remember a lot. But hey, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to karate kick that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new to it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, guys.